Hey, what's up, everybody? Just doing a live stream today. We'll talk about code, programming, app development, whatever you want. Yo, hello, Mohammed. What's up, everybody? Good to see ya. Yo. Feel free to ask any questions about anything. Hey, Mark, been a while? Yeah, it's been a while. I moved to a new house, and then I had to have some work done to build this office in the garage here. And then I got coronavirus really bad. And so I've been gone for like a month now, but I'm back. So welcome to the party. Feel free to ask any questions about programming or app development or anything like that. Shoot your shot. If you're on YouTube, let me know if you can hear me okay on YouTube. We're streaming today on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So, sir, I want to know about coding in Android. We'll talk about that today. It's all about Kotlin, though. Okay, Kotlin. How do you feel about the quality and learning from Udemy classes and web design? Look, the thing about online courses is you take them by yourself and it can be hard. It can be slow progress. So there's good courses online, but again, they get really long and it can be really hard. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Working on your third Flutter app, that's awesome. Do you do Python? I can write code in Python. I spend most of my time in JavaScript though. So can we use Dart in web development? Yes, you can with the Flutter framework. Yes. Which is better, Angular or React? It's kind of like apples versus oranges. They both do different things, okay? And so, yeah, today's subject, we're going to talk about Swift versus React Native versus Kotlin versus Flutter. We'll just talk about mobile apps today. Hey, Mark, I'm in the DevSlopes iOS course. Do you have any tips on retaining information? Yeah, building projects. That's how you retain the information. Building projects. Okay. Is game dev worth it? Well, that if you want to be a game developer, then yes, it's worth it. It can be harder to get into than other types of programming, just so you know. I want to know the process to turn a website to an app. You can just, hold on a second here. Yeah, you can do it in Swift and Kotlin, or you can do it in React Native or Flutter and Dart. DevSlopes merch. Yeah, I've got our merch store turned off right now just because it's a little too much to manage. So, hey, Xamarin. Don't use Xamarin unless all you know is C#. Don't use Xamarin. It's not very great. It's not a great platform to develop on. It's got a lot of problems. You make much more progress much more quickly with other things. So, bachelor's versus boot camps, Rio. It just depends what you want to do, where you live. In the United States here, you can easily get a startup job, making $90,000, $100,000 a year without any degree. You can, just from the stuff you learn at a boot camp like DevSlopes Academy, we can help you get a job, at a startup pretty easily. If you want to go work for NASA, you got to have a degree for that. So it just depends on what you want to do. How can I use Flutter for hacking? Flutter is not for hacking. It's for mobile apps. When is it good to starting to learn a framework for JavaScript? I mean, it depends what framework you're trying to learn. It's a hard question to answer. It just depends what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to college this year and they teach C. Is it worth it? Again, is college worth it? It just depends what you want to do. In a lot of cases, college is not worth it. You spend a lot of money. Like in the United States, a computer science degree is like $70,000. So is it worth it? I could help people get jobs a lot quicker than going to college. So, have you ever had students take 1 to 2 months off and then try to bounce back and start studying? Yeah, Mac, It's not a good idea that people do it and then they have to like kind of start all over. It's not a good idea. It's best to be consistent. Like this whole game, the success you have as a programmer is all about consistency. When you take 1 to 2 months off, in a lot of cases it destroys everything and you have to start over. So don't do that. If that's what case you're in, then just get back in it and get started. But you don't want to stop. The whole point is consistency. I would rather have somebody spend 1 hour a day for 6 days a week than spend 8 hours a day, for a month and then take 2 months off and come back. I'd rather have the person who does it consistently. You'll make way more progress. What are the cons of React Native? Yeah, so React Native has some problems. It uses all JavaScript framework. Sometimes you have problems working with browser-based JavaScript libraries versus node-based JavaScript libraries, compatibility issues. React Native doesn't actually work out of the box. Like if you go to run an app, even the starter app, it doesn't work out of the box. Like you have to hack things frequently with React Native. It's a cool set of tools, but it's not all rainbows and butterflies. Like Flutter is rainbows and butterflies. Like you can literally just start coding and everything just magically works for iPhone and Android, which is really cool. So in India, everyone says that college is better than better than what? Angular versus React, which one is the best for web development? They both have their features, right? React is just one component. It's just the view component. Angular does the view as well, but it also manages your services and your data layer and how data flows. With React, you have to figure that out all on your own. So Angular does a lot more than React. What's your opinion about Ionic? It's not nearly as good as React Native or Flutter with Dart. Is it a good idea to do Kotlin Android development? Yeah, native Kotlin is hot in demand right now, okay? Super hot in demand. Should I master CSS before learning JavaScript? Not necessarily. It just depends what you want to accomplish. At the DevSlopes Academy, which is our training program, we teach you HTML and CSS to advanced levels, and then we teach you JavaScript. And we actually don't teach you JavaScript in the browser where you're just manipulating DOM elements. We actually teach you pure JavaScript with Node.js, vanilla JavaScript. Then we actually go and teach you ES6 because we want you to understand the core components of programming. We need that separate from the HTML CSS because HTML and CSS is not code. It's just syntax, okay? There's no logic involved with HTML CSS. You can memorize that stuff. Once you get to JavaScript, it gets a lot harder because you have to start solving problem with code. So we focus purely on JavaScript for a few weeks in our program so you get really good with it so you can learn any language. So it doesn't matter if you learn one or the other first, but you need to get really good with JavaScript. Like that's my point. You need to be really focused with it, really good with it. HTML and CSS is really easy to learn if once you learn JavaScript or programming in general. So my recommendation is just really get really good with JavaScript, okay? By the way, if anyone's interested in learning about the DevSlopes Academy, go to devslopes.com/apply. You can work with me and my team one-on-one, and we'll coach you to help you become a paid developer. You'll learn JavaScript, you'll learn React, you'll learn a whole bunch of things, Node. Of course, we teach Swift and Kotlin as well, too, for mobile apps. So that's devslopes.com/apply. Currently developing mobile apps for a Fortune 500 using React Native. There are some things I don't like, but overall, I'm having a great experience with it. That's awesome. Yeah, React Native's fun, and it does some great things. So is Python a great language? Yeah, Python's a great language. It's a great, it's used all over the place, just like JavaScript is as well. I have an interview today for an associate developer. How can I impress the technical recruiter? My best advice to you is be honest, be confident in what you're confident about. If you don't know something, say you don't know it, and just be honest. That's the best way to impress somebody. What is the best language to learn for beginners? I'm going to say Python or JavaScript. Those are the two places I would start as a beginner. Job-wise, would you recommend Android or iOS development? Whatever one you want. In the United States, we have lots of jobs for both. We really struggle to find native Android developers in the United States. So if you get good with that, you can get a job, but you should do which one that interests you most. There's big job opportunities for both of those platforms. Do I have courses on Udemy? I've got some older courses on Udemy. We don't do that anymore, though. We just focus on our training program, our coaching program, which is the DevSlopes Academy. So keep going, man. You rock. You rock, Rio. iOS or web development for someone who loves apps, however, would still like to be a freelancer. You know what you could do is you can get really good with web development and React, and then learn React Native, and then you're all in JavaScript. So you can do mobile apps and the website's all in JavaScript as a freelancer, and then you don't have to learn a bunch of different things. So if you're serious about freelancing, you may want to consider JavaScript and React, and then you can also do the mobile apps with React Native. So do you have some advice to learn React quickly? Yes. Build projects, major projects. That's the quickest way to learn. Is mobile development a good career? It's an amazing career. It has some of the highest paid jobs for new developers, which I think is awesome. Let's see here. Swift versus React, which is best? Swift of native applications, of course, are going to run the fastest. Most jobs are for native. But if you want to be a freelancer, you might consider React Native or Flutter and Dart. The documentation for Flutter is amazing. I would agree. Yeah. Can you code program using a phone only, or do you need a computer? You need a computer for sure. If you're doing web development, like a $300 laptop will do you just fine. So, any advice for someone that loves to code and problem solve but doesn't like CSS? Thanks for your channel, by the way. I don't like CSS. I hate it. I hate HTML. I hate CSS. It's not for me. I do it. I do it all the time, but I don't like it. I like writing code. So you may consider, if that's you, you may consider getting really good with Node and JavaScript, and you can focus on the code side of the front end. You could also focus on servers and things like that as well too. You have lots of opportunities available for you, but I hate CSS as well. Anything I can do to not do that is what I want to spend my time on. So thoughts on the no code movement? I wouldn't really call it a movement. It's not making huge traction. Well, I think we will see in the future more automation for things that we do a lot of. So for instance, I mentioned I hate CSS and HTML. Well, it's because we do the same things over and over. So I do see a world where HTML, CSS templates are just generated, and all you have to do is focus on code. So I think there's going to be some automation that increases out there, but it's not like people are going to lose their jobs. There's just more opportunities for smart people to code. A lot of the simple tasks are the things that will get automated. But all those tools that are out there for no code right now, they're not that great. So we have a long way to go still. Mateo Vargas. Hi, may you help me with the question? I want to learn Python and with it build a website. What stack should I learn? If you're set on Python and you want to build websites, then learn Python and Django, DJNGO, Django. It has templating built in, so you can build the front end and the back end all with Python and then HTML and CSS. So that would be a good stack for you to start with if you want to stick with Python. Which is more difficult to learn between Swift and JavaScript? Swift is the better programming language for sure. It's more powerful features. It's more robust. JavaScript, of course, we all know is a nasty, ugly language. So is Python to a degree. Those are scripting languages. They're not compiled languages, and they're not as fast either. So which one's more difficult to learn? I mean, you can learn them kind of the same. It just depends what path you want to go down. Do you want to be a native app developer, or do you want to build web apps? And that'll determine what you learn. What do you think about Jetpack Compose by Kotlin? We teach it in our Android Academy. So it's very relevant. We use it. So, and companies use it. Freelancing or full-time job? That has a lot to do with your personality. Do you want to work for yourself? Do you want more freedom with your time? If so, become a freelancer. Of course, when you're a freelancer, you got to bring in your own jobs. You got to keep your pipeline hot and filled up. Whereas if you have a full-time job, all you got to do is show up and write code and go home. So there's plus and minuses. It has a lot to do with your personality, what you're looking for. Can I get an internship React job? I know about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React. Yeah, I mean, there's some internships out there, but if I was you, I would just go do some freelancing on Upwork.com, get some experience, and then just go get a real job. You know anything about Svelte Native? I don't know what that is. I've never heard that before. What's up, El Ismail? What's up, everybody? Is Java Spring worth learning? It is if you want to get into enterprise. Java Spring Boot is widely used in enterprise. It's not a stack I would use for my own little startup or product. I think it's a little too heavyweight for that, especially for a smaller team. And there's a great learning curve. But if you want to get into enterprise, it's a great thing to learn. What do you think about Visual Studio Code and Android? I've never built any Android apps with Visual Studio Code. I just use Android Studio, so I can't really say. Should I learn to program before going to college, or should I learn on the go? Well, if you're going to college, no matter what, just learn on the go. Don't wait for anything. Start learning now. You'll be way ahead. I'm working with Flutter now, but I want to learn Swift to do a native app. Well, do it. Rita, I got my bachelor's and I'm hesitating whether to continue my master or dive into the professional world. What do I think? Well, you know what I think. I'm not a college person. You know, it just depends what you want to do. Right? I mean, just the path that you go down. What kind of jobs do you want? What kind of projects do you want to take on? You know, it depends where you want to work. Because, for instance, when I hire people, I don't hire for degrees. I hire for talent. So it just really depends. What do you want your degree for? What's the point? If you have a reason for it, then choose your path. You know, if you want to teach at a university, then sure, go get your degree. Just depends what you want to do. How can you code for iOS and Android at the same time? You could do Flutter and Dart or React Native. That's one way you could build both apps at the same time. How much is the DevSlopes Academy? I don't manage the pricing or any of the sales aspects of that. If you're interested in the DevSlopes Academy, just go to devslopes.com/apply. You can chat with us on the phone. It's super easy process. I know that we've got financing and all kinds of other options available as well too, making it super easy for people to get in. That's devslopes.com/apply. Who do you think is better to learn? Is it better to learn first JavaScript or React and beginner? Definitely learn JavaScript first. There are way too many developers who learn React first and they don't understand JavaScript and they can't build meaningful things. They go to all these tutorials and they copy and paste code because they don't completely understand it. You need to learn JavaScript. It is so critical. React is built with JavaScript. You must know JavaScript in depth. I cannot stress how many times that I've had to build things and solve problems purely with JavaScript. Even with a React app, I've had to do those things because that's what you are. You're a programmer. You're writing code. If all you know is React, that means all you know is the framework and you don't know what's going on under the hood and you can't do as many things that you need to do. Definitely master JavaScript before really diving into React. That's my professional opinion. Which line must I go, back end or front end? You can go either way. There's more beginner job opportunities with front end than there are back end based on just the industry that's out there. But whatever you want to do. Is coding from tutorials bad? It's not bad. It's just hard to make a lot of progress when you're on your own. That's literally the reason why I created the DevSlopes Academy, is because so many people go on their own and then you get sidetracked, you get lost, you get depressed. You don't know, you thought you were doing great, but then now you don't know if you're doing great and you don't know when the journey is going to end. You don't know how you're going to get a job. Like, there's all those things when you're on your own. So there's nothing wrong with tutorials, but you know, how do you get your job? How do you get the motivation? How do you just stay on a path? And so that's why we created the DevSlopes Academy, is so you don't have to take those coding tutorials on your own. You just take our path, you go through it, you get coaching, people like me who help you out one-on-one. We grade your projects, real developers looking at your code. You know how close you are to the finish line. It's really cool. So should you stop learning tutorials? No. But if you're really serious about moving forward, you might consider looking into the DevSlopes Academy, because we'll help you run really fast. We'll help you sprint. That's devslopes.com/apply. Do you advise iOS or Android development? It just depends on you. You need a MacBook or a Mac for iOS development, just so you know. But you should do whatever interests you most. There's big opportunities in both. Hello, instructor, Swift developer, Android developer, React Native developer, Flutter developer. Which one is most popular in software? Enterprise. Enterprise is always native Kotlin, Android, native Swift. Enterprise is all about native. If we're talking about what are big companies building, they're using native. They're not using the cross-platform tools. What's the future of native app development and web development? Native app development's not going anywhere. It'll always be around. They're backed by Google and Apple. Web development's not going anywhere either. So there's opportunities all around. What level of skill should a junior be in order to be productive for a team? You need to be able to work with APIs, consume APIs, download the JSON, parse it. You should be able to implement the company's authentication with JSON web tokens or whatever they're doing, OAuth. You need to be able to look at their documentation and APIs and be able to consume that stuff. And you should be able to do all of that stuff without having to bother another developer. If you can do those things, you're set up, you're ready to go. But because that's what you spend a lot of your time doing on a job is network requests and consuming data, you need to have a really good handle on that stuff. Okay. What am I reading from? Is it Twitch? So I've got TikTok on one phone. I've got Instagram Live on another phone. I've got YouTube Live on my computer. So I'm looking at three different little screens here. So can you learn web development without learning HTML and CSS? No. No matter what, you got to learn that if you're in web. Even if it's Python, JavaScript, whatever, it doesn't matter. You are always going to use HTML and CSS. There's no getting around it for web development, not at all. Can a course of SQL in 5 days make you master SQL? And can you find a job with it in 5 days? No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. It takes longer than that. Can you update Android development on Udemy with a new edition? We don't make Udemy courses anymore. I'm sorry. But our DevSlopes Academy for Android is always up to date. You get a real instructor who works with you, who coaches you, helps you get a job. So if you're interested in that, that is always fully up to date. That's devslopes.com/apply. Is iOS freelance more profitable than an iOS dev job? It just depends. It depends. Some freelancers make $200,000 or even $300,000 a year. It just depends on your drive, your skill, what you want to do and accomplish, your confidence level. All those things matter. So it really depends on you at the end of the day. Who do you think is better, React Native or Flutter? I enjoyed developing apps in Flutter far better than React Native. The tooling is amazing. This is absolutely amazing, far superior to React Native. So that's just me. What's the process like in DevSlopes Academy? Is it videos, learning to code? Do you have more accomplishment? So yeah, in the DevSlopes Academy, when you come in, you always have coaches available. That's one thing. You can literally send us a video anytime of your code or questions, and we respond with videos personalized just for you. Every single week, you actually build out a major project, and we grade it. You submit it. It can get rejected or accepted. We give you feedback, a real code review. You do coding challenges, exercises. There are some videos. That's where you do some of the learning on there. And then you continue that process every single week with coaching the entire time, grading your projects. We literally take you from beginner all the way to the finish line of getting the job, helping you build your resume and things like that as well too. And every single week we have live meetups. So you can join every week, ask questions real time on Zoom if you like. Of course, we send you personalized coaching and mentorship all the time, as often as you need it, as you go along. So you get to do a lot of the learning online. So it's on your schedule, but you get the coaching and the graded projects. You get people like me working with you, helping you to learn to code and to get a job. So that's how it works. Is there a path you recommend for me to learn AI, machine learning, or data science? I don't have a path. I mean, that's out of my expertise, but learning data science and Python, well, that data science is different than machine learning, to a degree. Machine learning can be far more complex at times, understanding the models and things like that. But you can't go wrong learning Python for those things. Flutter state management has always been a pain. Yeah, it's different. It's just like React. It's declarative programming. It's just like Swift UI. It's just a different way of thinking than a lot of people are used to. So, how do I sign up for the Zoom? So, in the DevSlopes Academy, every week we have a Zoom meeting. If you're in the DevSlopes Academy, the links get posted in the chat room every single week, where you can join these Zoom meetings. So, I understand JavaScript is the big thing right now, but will it still be in 10 years? Look, there's multiple things that are big things right now, but JavaScript's been around for a long time. It's not going anywhere. So you're pretty safe learning JavaScript. You're pretty safe learning Python. In order to become a mobile developer beginner, should I learn Kotlin or Swift, React Native, or Flutter? Well, we've been talking about this whole time, man. It's just whatever you want to do. If you want to be a freelancer, learn React Native or Flutter. If you want a full-time job, learn native Android or native iOS and Swift. Yeah. How to start as a junior developer on freelance platforms. So definitely start off on Upwork.com. And I have a podcast episode about this. You can Google the DevSlopes podcast freelancing. But you just need to apply for jobs, send personalized videos, take on a small project at first, and then take bigger projects and bigger projects. Then you get better at negotiating and closing deals. And, it just takes lots of practice and time. But you can definitely do it and make a lot of great money, have lots of freedom and time. What's the best place to find freelance work? Same thing, Upwork.com. That's the best place for people to go. Why don't you answer direct messages? I need someone to guide me about my path. We do on Instagram. We answer a lot of messages. We get hundreds, if not thousands. So just so you know, my logic building is very poor. What do you do? Yeah, coding challenges. You could join the 30daycodechallenge.com, and that's 30 days of intensive coding. Anyway, 30daycodechallenge.com, and build, that's how you learn the algorithms, the data structures, is by solving coding problems. Okay. Yeah. What's the cost for the 30-day challenge? If you can go to the website, it's $100, $100 US. That's 30daycodechallenge.com. And you get coaching and mentorship as you go along, data structures, algorithms, 30 days of coding. Do you solve leak code problems? I don't, but that's a great place for you guys to go to enhance your skills for sure. Best website to learn programming and coding to find a job at big tech companies? Well, if you want to go work for a big tech company, you need to be really good with code, be really great with data structures and algorithms, do those coding challenges, 30daycodechallenge.com, get really good with that stuff, because those companies, when you go to become a junior at a big tech company, they know you don't have experience, so that's okay. But what they do expect is they expect you to be really great with code. So your key to success is learning how to solve problems. And you do that by doing coding challenges. Get really good at just taking one coding challenge after the other and solving problems. Oscar, I tried contacting your team. Yeah, Oscar, just email mark@devslopes.com and I'll get you to the right person. Yep. Which path would you suggest in your academy if I live in a rural area? If you want to work remotely, we're probably talking about contract work. You're going to have way more opportunities with web development as a contractor than you are for native iOS or native Android. Native iOS and native Android, those are really for full-time jobs. And if you want to stay remotely as a new developer, you probably want to start off as a freelancer, and web development is probably the best path for you. So in your opinion, how much time to spend in one day for coding? I don't know. Our students at the DevSlopes Academy, we say 2 to 3 hours. The more you do, you can learn quicker, but you can also burn out as well too. So I think 2 to 3 hours a day is really nice. When you go to like full-time in-person boot camps, you know that they have you coding from morning till night. And I've been in that environment, and it's burnout. You get burned out really easy, information overload. So a few hours a day, I think, is ideal. Yeah. I just finished the latest coding challenge by DevSlopes. I've never written JavaScript before the challenge. I learned a lot and loved it. Thank you, Mark. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you had a good experience. Um, Very cool. Is it possible to get a mentor through DevSlopes without having to go through the academy? If not, where can you find a mentor? It's a hard thing. We offer mentorship through the academy only. You can join a meetup. That's meetup.com. Find some other developers like you. That's a good way too. But people in the academy, I'm invested in their success. My goal is to help them have success. So I'm very much interested in students' success, and so you get lots of mentorship, and I think it's a really great experience. Some people join the academy just for the mentorship alone. So, do you believe that Swift UI is the future of iOS app building? It absolutely is. It absolutely is. We're not quite there yet, but it will be. Django or Node.js, which one should I choose? That depends on you. Do you know Python or JavaScript? And just stick with whatever language you know. They're both great. Okay. Native platform is better than cross-platform. Better, what does better mean? Native app development is always going to be faster, though. Always. It's always going to be a better experience as a developer. So you're doing great. Much love from Nigeria. Thanks. Hey, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm still recovering from the sickness a little bit. But hey, if you're interested in working with me and my team one-on-one, go to devslopes.com/apply. We'll coach you and train you until you are a paid developer. Imagine having a developer in the back of your pocket, and we help you continually until you have success. Right? Like, where else can you go right now? If you're like, hey, I want to have a mentor, I want someone to help me. Where do you go find that? It's very hard. It's very hard. Imagine now having somebody there for you anytime you need, answering questions, in addition to training as well too. That's what we do at DevSlopes Academy. That's devslopes.com/apply. We've got different payment options, pricing plans, financing, things like that. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, mark@devslopes.com. I do this every single day. So that's Monday through Friday at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'll be here doing this tomorrow as well too. So thank you, everybody, and we'll be chatting again tomorrow, 3:30 p.m.